Hello everyone, good evening. I'm Purnima from Fertility Dost, and today we have Dr. Arvind Vora with us. We have very interesting saying that 40 is new 30. But I think with women reproduction system, 30 is 30 and 40 is 40. So let me introduce Dr. Arvind Vora with you. She is a clinical director, Milan, for the Fertility Center, Bangalore, and she is a visiting consultant at Lotus Diagnostic Center. Today we'll talk about various issues, various parameters concerning women health and reproductive system. Why do we always say that we need to look 30 but reproductive system 40? एज बहुत गड़बड़ है. जल्दी सोचिए, think early and think about your reproductive system very early. So let's start, Dr. Arvind. And first of all, I welcome you on our forum. So
Thank
please,
you so
your
much.
introduction आपकी तरफ से.
Thank you so much, Purnima. I would like to thank Fertility Dost and Sheel for this wonderful initiative where the people get the choice to ask the experts what they want to know. I am Dr. Arvind Vora. I'm a senior reproductive medicine consultant. I am the clinical director in Milan Indranagar at Bangalore. I'm also visiting consultant at Lotus Diagnostic Center in Bangalore. In my career expanding over 1.5 decades, I have been to multiple parts of the world. And one thing I have seen, whether when I was in London or when I was in Delhi or Mumbai, is this eternal quest for women to get pregnant when they are anxious to get pregnant and they want it to happen right away. And no one ever gets the answers that satisfies them. Another thing that I noticed is timely intervention. Lot of women could be helped if they probably were aware a little bit earlier or if they seek for help a little bit earlier. So, with that being said, I think this is a wonderful platform where all of you are more than welcome to ask me your queries, and I will do my best to answer you.
Thank you so much. And सबसे पहले age. Seriously, do you think that the new 40 is 30 in reproductive system?
That's a wonderful question. That has been $1 million question for a very long time. We know men will never ask women their age. Women also never tell their real age. I've had patients who register as 30-year-olds, and when I finally finish their IVF and not got eggs, I get to understand that okay, they were actually 40, and then they come open about it. So, yes, I am all for women empowerment. I am all for choosing what you want to do in your life. But when it comes to your fertility, we do have a biological clock and we have to respect it. So,
Right.
30 or 35 is not just a number, it signifies something in terms of our biological cycle. And that needs to be respected. Having said that, it doesn't mean that just because you're 30, you need to get married and have children. At the same time, it doesn't mean for you to say, all right, fine, I'm going to be ready at 42, and then at my luxury I may have my eggs. It may or may not be true for you at that time. So if you want to postpone pregnancy, there are ways in which you can do that while restoring your eggs. So yes, age is important. Yes, 30 is 30 and 35 is 35. And just an opening shocker for people who don't know that, we a lot of times compare ourselves to our Western counterparts. So I've seen a
Right.
42-year-old Britisher or an American woman, and she's got wonderful egg reserve. And then I see a 32-year-old Indian woman whose egg reserve is lower. And now studies have proven that Indian women actually age 6 years faster than our Western counterparts. And that's something we
Okay.
have to remember, because most of the literature that you will read is for the foreign population. In our
Right.
society, definitely 30, I would say, would probably mean 32 or 34. And 35 would mean 38 or 39 in terms of the biological clock.
Right. Right. So we have queries pouring in. So I'll just uh, read anonymous query we have from our group members. I'm 32 years old and trying for last 2 years. All my blood tests, including AMH, prolactin, FSH, and SGG, are no absolutely fine, and my husband's reports are also normal. What do you suggest? Should I wait and try to conceive naturally or go for IVF, as it is already 2 years. My body weight is normal and lifestyle is also very healthy.
Thank you so much for the question. Another important point that I would like to make here is that it's not just the age which is important in terms of fertility treatment, it is also the number of years you have been trying. So, for someone who's married at 35, she need not jump into IVF. But at the same time, someone who's been married at 32 and has done multiple treatment cycles over the past 3, 4 years and is still only 35, 36, definitely needs an advanced treatment. To answer this question, I think it's too early for you to jump into IVF right away because you've not really done anything, as far as I understand from this, because you say you've just been trying naturally. Probably a little help in terms of ovulation induction and timing the intercourse, or a step higher, which is intrauterine insemination, would probably be something you should look at right now instead of straight away jumping into IVF if everything is okay.
Right. So first, she has to opt for IUI. Then one
कभी
more
कभी क्या
query.
होता है ना, सिर्फ टाइमिंग गोज रॉन्ग. घर में you think you know you're trying, but you might have just
Mhm.
missed the window of ovulation, because when the egg is released, it stays in the fallopian tube for just about 24 hours, and maybe that's
Right,
that
right.
window that you're missing. So probably timing it is a better option right now, since she's just 32 and everything else is normal.
32. Right. और एक बहुत कॉमन क्वेश्चन है, हाउ मेनी साइकिल्स ऑफ IUI बिफोर जंपिंग टू IVF?
So it's just like one size does not fit all. One dish is not everybody's best dish. Same way, one treatment or one number is not the right number for everyone. Let's say you've done 2 cycles of IUI, and after that you underwent a laparoscopy, and then you found that, okay, one side tube was blocked. So you know that what you were doing before was probably not very helpful. In that case, in the next 2 cycles, you can try in the cycle where the other tube is open, and then see if it works. But if everything is normal, everything is good, and you're not getting pregnant despite 2 to 3 cycles of IUI, there has to be a reason. Most often than not, we doctors label it unexplained because we've not
Right.
explained it enough. So, a lot of times when you do IVF for such patients, you find out that either the egg and the sperm are not mixing well together, or there was a
Mhm.
problem with the synchronicity of the cycle. That means that the ovary was a little faster than the uterus, and basically the timing was not matching. So that needs to be looked into. Overall, I would say any treatment more than 4, 5 cycles is not right. Personally, if you ask me,
Okay.
I don't go more than 3 cycles because we monitor very closely. And if you've not gotten pregnant in those three proper controlled IUI cycles with gonadotropins and tablets, injections, everything, then there has to be a reason, and we should move on to the next stage. Because another point here is the time to pregnancy. The doctors
Right.
can keep telling you, ठीक है करते रहो, अभी 6 महीने, अभी 8 महीने, you're just 32, like for this girl. But that's not fair,
Mhm.
right? Because every month when you get your period, it's very heartbreaking for someone who's trying to get pregnant. And I
Right, right.
think that emotional quotient has to be addressed. So we have to be sensitive to a woman's need, to the family's needs. Sometimes I see people are just so stressed. I've had like 30-year-olds coming and saying, 6 महीने हो गए शादी को, there is so much pressure at home. You just do IVF and get me pregnant. So obviously, we wouldn't jump into it, but yes, you have to acknowledge, the emotional state of mind, the physical state of mind, financial state, everything. So
Right.
blind treatment to 6, 7, 8 cycles, I don't believe in that.
So I think maximum 2 to 3 cycles of IUI, that too depending on
If the entire
the
workup has been done and if the age is on the
right,
higher side, then I think
hmm,
we should be a little more cautious. It also
right,
depends on how the IUI cycle was done. A lot of doctors only give tablets and then just go ahead
hmm,
with IUI. Maybe then in the next cycle, you should upgrade to tablets plus injections. And then instead of 1 day IUI, try 2 day IUI. So there are a lot of things which can be done even within an IUI cycle. And all of that has to be addressed.
so next we'll take, can I able to conceive naturally after two fail IVF? My AMH is low and no other issue. I have started using Ayurveda medicine.
Thank you for the question. I would love to know how old you are.
Right.
Just because you've had two failed IVF, it does not mean that you can't get pregnant. Absolutely not. Just because your AMH is low, it does not mean you can't get pregnant. I've had patients where the AMH is zero point 0.1 and I've still gone ahead with an IUI cycle because of, they were just recently married, 38-year-old or a 39-year-old, and they've been able to get pregnant and carry healthy babies home. So AMH is only the anti-Mullerian hormone is only a marker of how much time you have to get pregnant. It does
Right.
not mean that you can't get pregnant. So if your AMH is low, that means that we probably need to upgrade into your treatment. And if you've had two IVF cycles, then definitely you would have known in the end of your cycles what was the cause. Was it the
Cause.
egg quality? Was it the embryo not being good? Or was it the uterus which is a problem? So there are multiple causes for two IVFs being failed. I wouldn't say don't seek help, but I wouldn't say that, stop trying. No one can ever tell you that you should stop trying and you can't get pregnant. I've had patients who've come to me with failed donor egg programs and I've gotten them pregnant, just by sorting out some other issues. What happens sometimes there is something called as autoimmunity, where the body
Right.
itself kills its own cells. So if there is a thyroid antibody, then that may also damage. And in such women, we see that the egg reserve comes lower, and all those things make a lot of difference. So if that's the case, then probably addressing that issue and resolving it might help you in getting pregnant. And
But
I totally support the Ayurveda part of the question. Yes, please understand every problem that we have is a result of is a result of toxins in our body. And if we
right.
can detoxify ourselves, if we can cleanse ourselves emotionally, physically, with yoga, meditation, any kind of cleansing rituals, whether it's detoxification with Ayurveda or with good diet, meditation, I think it goes a long way forward. For all of my
Right.
patients, I definitely recommend Mind, Body, Soul. So, diet, yoga, detoxification is a very, very imperative part. So, that's a good thing
Right.
that you're doing. Do that and then probably, try one more time and don't give up.
वैसे भी कहते हैं ना वो सब यहाँ पे है,
बिल्कुल,
तो
बिल्कुल.
सोच बदलो.
Positive frame
And
of mind.
right, we at Fertility Dost also believes in holistic approach, and
Correct.
this is really very important. So as you told us कि you are into this meditation, yoga and diet, so आपको लगता है कि इससे कितना परसेंटेज सक्सेस रेट बढ़ जाता है?
We have actually done a study where we did
Hmm.
meditation for a group of women after ET, yoga and meditation for a group of women after the embryo transfers, and then another group we did not do that. So, what we found in our internal study as well was that the success rate was as high as 15% between the two groups. And it means a lot
Right.
because with
बिल्कुल.
IVF, anyways, your success rate is about 50. Or agar 10-15% बढ़ जाता है, I think it's wonderful. So, my advice to all women, I know IVF is a very stressful process. Trying to get pregnant and it not happening is a very stressful process. But don't give up. Stay cool, stay relaxed. Definitely focus on yourself. दवाइयाँ डॉक्टर देते हैं, यस आप खाओगे सप्लीमेंट्स एंड ऑल दोज थिंग्स, लेकिन उसके साथ अपने ऊपर खुद काम करो, इन्वेस्ट ऑन योर लाइफस्टाइल. एंड आई थिंक राइट नाउ द बिगेस्ट चैलेंज इन अर्बन इंडिया इज द लाइफस्टाइल, because everyone's working, apne liye time hi nahi hai, then you barely have time to take the tablets I've given you. So with that, I think meditation, yoga, detoxification is absolutely imperative if you ask me.
राइट, राइट. हमारे भी हमने कितने प्रोग्राम्स में देखा है कि वी हैव दिस फर्टिलिटी कोच प्रोग्राम एंड हियर वी treat our clients, rather I should say कि we advise our members to go for holistic approach, and you
Wonderful.
won't believe we have 90% positive result for that. क्योंकि हम
Excellent.
सोचते ही नहीं है ना, हम सिर्फ वो
बिल्कुल.
एक्चुअली वो गोलियां खानी is बहुत
Hmm.
इजी rather than
Correct.
सुबह उठ के
Correct.
एक घंटा योगा करना.
बिल्कुल,
That
बिल्कुल.
is
I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. I know. And catch is that. So when my patients come, I tell them it's going to be our partnership. आपने और मैंने दोनों ने काम करना है.
right. So let's have a next query. 5 years have passed since my marriage, and I am 27 years old and have PCOD. I had laparoscopy after both my tubes were closed, and after opening the tubes, I did IUI and got pregnant, but it remained ectopic. Then I did laparoscopy again and removed the left side tubes. I did IVF in February, but it failed. Can I do IVF in November now, and will it be successful?
So, first of all, that's very sad that you've been through so much and you're just about 27. I think before you start your IVF, you can do IVF any month. That's good enough. Three points that I would like to tell you. First, like even Purima told you, I think spend some time with yourself, get to know yourself, heal yourself emotionally, physically, in terms of your diet, detoxification, yoga, meditation. बहुत जरूरी है because this past history will continue to haunt you even if you get pregnant with an IVF. You will be restless कि
Right,
oh my god फिर से तो नहीं ectopic हो जाएगा. So you have to definitely be in a positive frame of mind. With one failed IVF, I think a lot of questions might have been answered in that IVF. So that is going to be very crucial information where you should sit with your fertility specialist and discuss, why my first IVF failed, what was the challenges, rectify those challenges. And just PCO is not the cause for an IVF failure.
right.
It is probably the egg quality or the embryo quality, or in your case, I would suspect even the uterus to be looked into because sometimes with ectopics and everything happening, the uterus might have had some infection which might be undiagnosed. So, probably just sorting that out, the uterus should be able to hold the pregnancy. Definitely go ahead with an IVF, but take pre treatment for PCO, the supplements which come. If you are on the heavier side, definitely lose weight. I think that's going to be the key to your success. And if you're
Right.
exercising, wonderful. Even if you're thin and you have PCO, your metabolic resistance is more. So please start some exercises if you're not doing it. Organized diet. PCO requires a specific diet which is different from the normal diet. So meet a dietitian and take a specific PCO diet before you do your IVF. While doing an IVF, stay positive, be confident, and I definitely think you should get pregnant. But yes, your IVF should not be a cut copy paste of what you've already done before.
राइट राइट एंड ऐसा नहीं कि हाँ बस करवाना है तो नवंबर में
Correct,
इट्स
correct.
नॉट प्लान प्रॉपरली
प्लान प्रॉपरली और पहले अपना प्री ट्रीटमेंट पे फोकस करो. दैट्स मोर इम्पोर्टेंट. Weight and all those issues, lot of times it becomes challenging, and you may require some help with PCO. Another challenge is the insulin resistance that comes. So even with thin
राइट
girls who have PCO, that insulin resistance is so strong that the male hormone dominates the ovary, and we see a lot of times that the egg quality is bad. So all those things, but a lot of it can be resolved just by your diet, yoga, and meditation. So spend some time with yourself, get your confidence going. And ectopics again suggest with tubes being blocky, infection has a very strong role to play here. So I think a hysteroscopy to look into the uterus and see if you have chronic endometritis or something. I think that's also something you need to look at. So my advice to
राइट
you would be break your IVF into two parts, finish egg collection, making embryos in one part, and then go for a frozen
ओके
embryo transfer cycle so that the uterus can be given its specific attention.
राइट so next we have age 40 married since 11 years did ICSI 4 times, transferred 6 embryos so far, but all implantation failure. Then conceived with IUI max when IVF cycle got cancelled, but unfortunately lost my baby in 5th month.
So,
After
so
that, I was diagnosed with obstetric antiphospholipid antibodies currently on medication. I have low ovarian reserve. I didn't respond well to the stimulation. Only one or two follicle grew with high or low dose injections. Doc wants me to do donor, but I didn't want to go for that. What do you suggest in my case? Should I do IVF again? Will it be beneficial for me? Please suggest what should I do? This is my last chance.
well, thank you for the question. Very sorry for your loss. Again, I would say first heal yourself from that loss and also get the confidence. that if you were able to get pregnant and hold a baby till the fifth month, that means there are a lot of things which are right for you. And definitely, I think if your egg reserve is okay, if your FSH is okay, even of course at 40 your AMH is going to be low, it doesn't matter. You can go ahead with what is known as pooling of embryos. That's something that we do here, where if let's say I get two embryos from you, I'm not going to just put them back in. I make a good enough pool for you back to back, maybe in 2 or 3 cycles. And when I have a good pool of embryos, then I can put, the best embryos in. Another thing, because of 40 and your miscarriage and APLA, what I would suggest is probably go for the genetic screening of the embryo, which is PGTA. So PGTA is pre-genetic implantation testing of the embryo for aneuploidy. That means that with age, a lot of times the embryos are about 50 to 60% are chromosomally abnormal. And as we grow older, the number increases. If one such embryo sticks in your uterus and your uterus is good, you hold the pregnancy. Unfortunately, these can result either in miscarriages or in abnormalities in the baby. And you don't want either of the two. So
Right.
you don't want to go for donor. I totally support you there. Work on yourself. There are a lot of separate nutritional supplements which are now there. You can try those first for 2 3 months before you even start your stimulation cycles. Stimulation protocols are also different in IVF cycles for people who've have low egg reserves, so those also can be looked into. And definitely pull the embryos, do the genetic screening, and put the chromosomally normal embryo. I think you should take your baby home. And at this same point, I would like to tell you that we're doing a study as well, which I actually presented last year in Vienna also, where I'm actually studying women with very low egg reserve and treating them with nutritional supplement. It's actually L-leucine, which is an amino acid, and now it's available also in the market. So I give them that for a continuous period of 3 months and then start the egg collection, and I have found wonderful results with that. And obviously, since
That's
it's
great.
just an amino acid, it has no side effects. So that's something
Hmm.
I would definitely recommend for her to be on.
अच्छा, एक चीज और, supplements and all that. For how long should we take those supplements?
गुड क्वेश्चन. ऑब्वियसली हर चीज की एक टाइमलाइन होती है.
Right.
आपको ट्रीटमेंट की भी एक टाइमलाइन है, दवाइयों की भी एक टाइमलाइन है.
Hmm.
बट to understand the physiology of the ovary, I have seen lot of my colleagues also. आज दवाई शुरू करी, कल IVF शुरू कर दिया. That's not going to do
Hmm.
anything for you,
Right,
because your
right.
follicles take at least about 60 to 70 days to come up. So what you're feeding today is actually going to show you result in the next to next cycle. So if you are on supplements before starting any treatment, at least 2 cycles you need to be on the supplements, and minimum
Okay.
of 1 cycle, and then start your treatment. And you take it till your process is complete. So nutritional
Right.
supplements have no side effects. They are absolutely good. You can definitely take their help. I think science has really advanced now, and we are doing a lot of research on women with low egg reserve and advanced stage. And I think that freedom should be there with a woman. But when you want to start treatment, I think spend some time with yourself, heal yourself emotionally, physically, and then start treatment. आज के टाइम में आई डोंट थिंक कोई भी ऐसा जना है जिसका बच्चा नहीं हो सकता. आई डोंट बाय दैट कॉन्सेप्ट. We have come to that era. Everyone can and will get pregnant. It's just a matter of how strong you feel about becoming a mother or a parent, and how far you're willing to go, and how committed you are.
Right. आपकी ये बात सुन के कितने लोग खुश हुए होंगे. I can see that. The smile on their faces.
Well, that's true. I think that's the message we should send across.
Right,
Positive
right.
attitude wins half the battle.
But so let's take next query. In the 6 month, I am 6 months pregnant. Can I take Pentocid DSR?
So congratulations, you're already pregnant. You don't need my help. You can. Why are you wanting to take Pantocid DSR? It's a pantoprazole. It's mainly for gastritis.
Right.
6 months into pregnancy, look at your diet. Sort your diet out. Gastritis है इसका मतलब खाना गड़बड़ है. If you get
खाने का.
used to tablets, then later on it's even going to get worse for you. So best is stick with the simple Ayurvedic preparations, organize your diet, start having, warm water with lemon and things like that. Apna digestion pe kaam karo aap bajaye iske that you start taking tablets. SOS ज़रूरी है तो you can take a Mucane gel or Digene syrup, that's fine. Any of the antacid syrups are better than actually just taking tablets in pregnancy. Remember,
Right,
everything that you eat, your baby is also eating. So you decide what
right,
you want to
right,
feed your
right.
child.
So please take care while popping any medication or any syrup you are taking. Please do consult your doctor. That is more important. Okay. I, this is okay. Great, doctor. Please clarify everything. It's a golden opportunity. Yes, we are here to help you out. Please ask your query and we'll certainly solve your queries. And Dr. Vora is here with us. So next we have anonymous query. What could be reason of failed IVF despite a good graded embryo and above 11 endometrial lining?
Okay, so first thing, above 11 endometrium is not ideal.
Good.
So it depends on what's good for you and what's good for me and what's good for science. Uh, Always, if you go back and look in fine print, there are some things that can be done better. Also, when you say a good graded embryo, remember it's just like when someone looks pretty, it does not mean that they are a good person. Same way, just because an embryo looks good, it does not mean that it's chromosomally normal. So that's something that you have to remember. And if only one failed IVF with one graded embryo, good grade embryo, and 11 more than 11 endometrium, you can also change the grade of the embryo that you put next time, and also work on the endometrium. 11 is probably the cutoff we take for a blastocyst. If you're going for an 8 cell transfer, maybe a little lesser than, but that would be a better option.
So please check your endometrial lining क्योंकि ये लगता है कि सबको बस जितनी endometrial lining thick है उतने chances ज़्यादा हैं.
Yeah.
So as they say, वो कहते हैं ना अति हर चीज की बुरी है.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
I think
More
we
is
can
not
say this.
always good. I know. True. थोड़ा थोड़ा ठंडा ठंडा करके खाओ, that's the best way.
Right. So let's have another one. If menstrual cycle is irregular, say 35 to 45 days, what is the best time to conceive and ovulating time? And my eggs are not growing naturally. It always growing by medicine. So is this because of irregular periods?
So this history-wise appears to be a polycystic ovarian kind of picture. But if you naturally get your periods within 45 days, then for you, your cycle is 45 days. That means that your ovulation time should be anywhere between 25 to 30 days. And you might be trying much earlier, like everybody else, on the 15, 16 day when your follicle is not ready. So, always, even in a natural 45-day cycle, if you're young and you've not really tried much, you can just go for scan and see when your follicle ovulates and know your ovulation window. Try according to your ovulation window. With PCO, one more thing I would like to tell, that if there is PCO, then the LH kits are not really very accurate. So don't
Right.
rely completely on that. Probably follicular growth scans would tell you if you really ovulate. 45 days may you can have spontaneous period also and ovulation also, or which may be delayed, or you may actually not be ovulating and it may just be
Not
an anovulatory 45-day cycle. So please get yourself checked with a fertility consultant. And again, if you're on the heavier side, only 5% weight loss may help you in getting things normal. Another thing, if your cycles are irregular, please make a note of your thyroid prolactin levels, because lot of times these hormones are the culprits and sugars are the culprits where your cycles are not okay and you're not ovulating. And just by correcting these small things, you can get pregnant on your own.
right. So please check for your ovulation, and I think she should go for ovulation scan study.
Definitely.
That will help better.
Definitely.
Next, we have one more anonymous query. I had an ectopic pregnancy with IVF. Thus, one of my tubes were removed. Any chance of natural conception?
Thank you for the question. Yes, absolutely. If your other tube is patent, you're ovulating well, your embryos were good, then you have as good a chance as anybody else of getting pregnant. It's just that you will have to wait when you ovulate on that side. So,
Yeah.
probably a follicular study to time your ovulation induction. But having said that, the fact that you had to undergo an IVF in the first place needs to be addressed. Why did you undergo IVF in the first place? What was the problem?
Hmm.
Has that problem been resolved? Because if you're going round and round trying to work around the same problem, then that's not going to help
Hmm.
you. If it was unexplained infertility and you underwent IVF, conceived, okay, yes, you may have a chance. But if there's any other specific problem, let's say the sperm motility is very low, it's not able to swim up, then probably your chances will be a little less. But like I said before, everyone can get pregnant. It's about diagnosing the problem and solving it.
Solving it, right. So don't worry, please check other parameters with your doctor. Is everything is fine other than this tubal issues?
Yes. One tube is open, it's good enough.
Good enough, right? Hi, I am 34 years married since 2 years. My tubes are clipped due to hydrocephalus, have adenomyosis, uterus size is 10 centimeter. In my first cycle, I got 8 oocytes, 5 A grade embryos. First transfer 3 day, 3 miscarriage happened, and pregnancy of unknown origin, which was treated by methotrexate, and second transfer 2 blastocysts, but it failed. Second pickup, I got 7 embryos, 5 A grade and 2 grade, 3 all are day 3. My AMH is 2.4. What are the precautions I should take next? Please suggest.
Thank you for the question. Uh, First of all, I think you're very blessed that with an adenomyosis the size of 10 centimeters at 34, you luckily have beautiful embryos and you've not yet got endometriosis. So that's great. The fact that you got pregnant, if the pregnancy was in the uterus or was it unknown, I'm not very sure because you've written miscarriage happened and
Miscarriage.
so miscarriage means uterus mein hua tha, unknown means somewhere else. Whatever it is, the fact that you've been able to get pregnant to some extent again should give you hope. The precautions that you should take now is one, make sure that your embryos are genetically normal. Second, this adenomyosis needs to be addressed. So, adenomyosis, lot of times, is also accompanied with autoimmunity. What is autoimmunity? It's your own body, like I explained before, rejecting its thyroid, its ovary, or probably sometimes even the embryo. So the male part of the embryo, it may think it's a foreign body and it may throw it out. So your autoimmune workup should be done. That's again very important. Is that the cause for rejection? Another thing, if the adenomyosis is 10 centimeter uterus, it depends on if it's a focal adenomyosis or a generalized adenomyosis. You need to be properly down regulated. Try to get the uterus size a little bit lesser. If hysteroscopy has not been done, I would certainly recommend a hysteroscopy for you so that the inside of the cavity is looked at. What happens sometimes with adenomyosis, you may have some small micropolyps or infection, or maybe the adenomyosis is actually making the uterus a little bald, and that needs to be looked into. And with good support after an embryo, and you should definitely undergo frozen embryo transfer cycle with a nicely down regulated uterus with good luteal phase support. That means that you should be supported properly with the progesterone and uh, enoxaparin blood thinner injections if needed, and I think you should be able to take your baby home.
So don't worry, next time please take these precautions and you will get a result soon. Ma'am, I'm trying for natural conception. We are trying from last 2.5 years, but no result. My period cycle is normal, 28 days, and all other blood reports and HSG laparoscopy also done. That's also fine. My husband's report also fine. My age 32, my husband's age 33, but never got result till now. If everything is normal, what are the reason for no conception?
So you've been trying for 2.5 years, but you've actually not taken any kind of ovulation induction studies, if I understand properly. And if that's the case, then I think probably you might be missing the window, or these are qualitative problems which are not picked up with just generic tests. If you've not recently done your hormones in the past 6 8 months, then please repeat them once, because sometimes there is a sudden drop that happens, and sometimes just a small help in terms of ovulation induction and timing you can be beneficial. So just that might be able to help you, or upgrade into an IUI treatment, where sometimes what happens logistically, the sperm is not able to swim up. So when we clean up the semen sample and put it in the uterus, it improves your chances of pregnancy.
Improves. Right.
So maybe it's time that you go on for the next stage, and I think that should help you.
Right. So you can contact a good fertility specialist, and surely they are going to help you with your issues. Please suggest some supplements for egg quality.
Well, I can suggest a lot of supplements for egg quality, but probably this is not the forum where I should be doing that, because I'm not marketing any drug. Like I said, I am, very actively involved in women who have low egg reserve, and I'm trying different medications to help them. And I definitely feel supplements go a long way. So for women who have low egg reserve, a lot of times these eggs are weaker in terms of their energy. So their mitochondria number comes down. And what helps you is to take to take the coenzyme Q10 or ubiquinol. Also, like I said, the study that I have done, in which we are giving L-leucine 800 milligrams to every woman for a period of 90 days, even before doing IVF, has given me wonderful results in these women who have low egg reserve. So that's again something that will help. As far as DHEA and other hormonal supplementations are concerned, I would request everyone, please don't take it blindly. Just because your egg reserve is low, it does not necessarily mean that your androgen levels will also be low. And I have seen patients where it's
Right.
actually counterproductive because they've taken all those hormonal pills. Supplements, yes, coenzyme Q10, L-leucine, these are things which will help you. Of course, in addition to folic acid, more than anything else, remember diet. Very, very important. So we have a specific follicular diet for women who have low egg reserve. The diet is different from a PCO diet, where we, cater to low egg reserve and what are the causes and sorting it out. Autoimmunity again is a big challenge for women who have less egg number and poor egg quality. So going gluten free and changing your diet, staying away from meats, all those things will really help you in improving your egg quality. And of course, like I keep saying, yoga, meditation, must, you must put in that time for yourself. There is no magic pill for getting pregnant, but there is no one who cannot get pregnant if they really want to. It's about how
Right.
serious you are.
Right. Can a woman with high FSH should do IVF?
It again depends on how high the FSH is.
High.
So just to explain FSH is basically a follicular stimulating hormone which is secreted from the brain here, and it comes in pulses. So we usually check it on the second day of the period, and if 1 month your FSH is 12, it does not mean that every month it's going to be 12. Next month your FSH could go down to 8, or it could go up to 25. So what needs to be understood is where in this pendulum of FSH you are. It goes up, it comes down. If FSH crosses a particular limit above 15, then it's very clearly associated with poor egg quality. In such cases, also, there are ways to try to bring it down. I've had patients where we have actually done genetic polymorphism studies, and we found that at FSH rise has been because of the genetics of a patient, and they don't really indicate anything. So I've actually done IVF for such patients with high FSH after controlling it based on the genetic polymorphism study, and then collecting these embryos. Definitely check them for the genetics. Because if your FSH is
Hmm.
high, the biggest challenge you
Hmm.
have is of having an abnormal baby. And that's something I
Right.
don't think anyone should have. So check the embryo for the genetics, and if they are normal, then yes, why not? But don't get worried just with one value of FSH. Remember, there are a lot of medications also which interfere with FSH and can increase FSH. Stress, again, is a very, very strong factor
Right.
for increasing FSH. If you've not slept properly, again, your FSH can be impacted. Best is Surya Namaskar. I have seen it tremendously helps in bringing down these hormones. So do Surya Namaskar and take the supplements. Yes, you do need help if FSH is high, but I would not say don't do IVF because your FSH is high. It can be worked around. Do IVF in a good cycle.
Right. Right. Next, we have how exercise and yoga play a role in increasing the chances of procedures like IUI or IVF.
Very good question. Number one, it keeps you calm. Number two, it keeps you well oxygenated. Number three, it keeps you in a very positive state of mind. After yoga, a lot of endorphins are released in the body, and they again are very positive stimulants in holding the pregnancy. At the same time, with yoga, there are specific postures which are meant to enhance fertility.
Right.
Overall, yoga will again oxygenate every cell of your body. Even the supplements that we give you will only go into your bloodstream based on how well oxygenated you are. If you see, I've given the same tablet to five people, four will conceive, one will not conceive. Why is that? Our treatment is the same. If all the five women have the same problem and you treat them, still one will not get pregnant. That's because her body is not accepting it as well as the others. So when you are exercising, when you're well oxygenated, well energized, every medication is also getting absorbed better. When you're doing yoga, you're internally controlling the hormones of your body. When you're doing meditation, you're internally controlling your serotonin and melatonin levels. And these go a long way in not just getting you pregnant, even holding the pregnancy and having a safer pregnancy for you. Apart from the fact that being physically active itself is very important for all of
Right.
us.
That is important. Right. So yes, you can opt for yoga and exercise, but obviously under some guidance, professional
Absolutely.
help, so that you can continue with your procedures of IUI and IVF. Next, we have I did HSG and it was so painful. I remember I got pregnant after, but it ended in miscarriage. Now, doctor is suggesting again to do HSG, which I am fearing a lot for that excessive pain. My age is 38.
With all due respect to your doctor, please don't do it again. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. One, because you had a painful HSG. I have seen in my practice, and there are papers also which suggest lot of times post HSG, the pain and the infection itself can cause blockage of tubes, infections. Those infections can lead on to miscarriages and then further cause fertility problems.
Hmm.
So definitely don't do another HSG for sure. If you have to do anything again, if your egg reserve is good, everything else is good, and you're going to try natural again, then please do a histro SST where you can just throw water through a sonogram where you're not actually pushing in the dye, or do a diagnostic hysterolaparoscopy where you also look at the uterus along with the tubes. Because if you've
Tubes.
not held the pregnancy, then there might be some small problem with the uterus which has gone unnoticed, right? And if you're 38, then definitely right now is the time that you look at your egg quality, semen quality, DFI of the sperm. Because if the embryo is abnormal, then you'll keep getting pregnant and you'll keep ending up with miscarriages. So please see the egg and sperm quality, take your supplements, do your yoga, detoxification. And if you have to check the tubes again, probably go for a hysterolaparoscopy or a more simpler procedure. Don't push any more dyes in your body.
So just check with your doctor and you can just talk with him or her with
Absolutely.
having alternate things rather than going for this option. Right. I don't understand. So I think we should skip this. Okay. Nishita is saying, nice to see you here, doctor.
Oh, hi, Nishita. So that's one of my patients.
Okay. So next we have, ma'am, I'm going through donor egg IVF for 2 times. Again, I'm planned for third IVF. What precautions I have to take for successful IVF? Please tell me, ma'am. That means 2 cycle failed.
Two donor failed IVFs. I think you need proper evaluation. Uh,
Hmm.
don't jump into the third one just like that, because two failed donor IVFs means there are major issues which needs to be looked into. So that's something that we have to see. How old are you? I mean, I have no information here about why your IVF cycles failed. Was it the same embryos which were put twice, or did you choose two different donors? If the semen parameters are normal or not is very important here, because if the donor egg has been taken but the sperm is the same, then probably the sperm DFI and
Hmm.
sperm parameters might be also one of the cause for things not working out. But two failed donor IVFs, I think you definitely need more pre IVF workup rather than just undergoing another blind embryo transfer. If hysteroscopy
Right.
is not being done, please do it. If your weight is on the higher side, please reduce it. Uh, Take your supplements. And, I am an eternal optimist. So I'll say, why don't we see your eggs if it is possible? So, no, please sit with your doctor and ask why those two IVFs have failed. What could be the potential causes? Solve those issues and then go forward.
Hmm. So next we have, ma'am, पीसीओडी को ठीक करने और एग्स की क्वालिटी अच्छी नहीं है. आई एम नॉट कंसीविंग. प्लीज एनी सजेशंस.
Thank you for the question. I think for PCO, egg quality अगर अच्छी नहीं है तो कौन से ट्रीटमेंट में अच्छी नहीं थी, and who told you अच्छी नहीं है? Because
राइट.
if it's just natural or IUI, nobody can tell you how is the egg quality. That's only at the end of IVF. If at the end of IVF the egg quality was bad, then there are a lot of things which can be done differently, like the protocol can be changed. Again, like I said, for PCO, lifestyle modifications come number one. So
वेरी
if you're on the
इंपॉर्टेंट.
heavier side or not on the heavier side, you need to exercise. Your diet has to be changed. Definitely, if your egg quality is not good, supplements have to be taken for PCO, myoinositol, dechiroinositol, whole lot of other supplements are there which should be taken. And probably if it was just a natural try that you were giving, maybe it's time that you go on to the next step, probably do ovulation induction. So there is a lot that can be done. I don't think anyone can say egg quality is bad, and
राइट, राइट.
that's why you're not getting pregnant.
Without proper
There is a lot.
investigation, we cannot say anything about the quality of eggs.
In fact, I will tell you one thing, because you have PCO, you are lucky. With some mild stimulation, also, you can end up with twins. So, the time that you have wasted in not getting pregnant, you can probably compensate if you can handle twins. Not that I recommend it, but why not? To each their own.
Right. I'm the same age as you. ये बहुत complicated है. My menstrual cycle is changing. Is it normal or need to get something checked? Please advise.
So thank you for the question. I think I don't know how you know what my age is, but okay. So assuming that we are on the same age, and for anyone in their reproductive ages, if you see menstrual cycles beginning to change, it could mean different things at different times. If it happens post 35 and you have some history of infection, that probably that infection has impacted. If you've got some thyroid or sugar issues, then probably the hormonal imbalance could be one of the causes where menstrual cycle is changing. The most common cause, the physiological cause, is the premenopausal changes in the cycle, and that are the very first markers of reducing egg reserve. So
Right.
lot of times, if when I ask my 30-year-old patients as well who have low egg reserve, and they'll tell me that, okay, 3 years back my cycles were good, my bleeding was good, the flow was good, the duration was 5, but now I see that I'm bleeding only 2 days, or the bleeding has come down. So those signs are very beginning of the pre-menopause. It doesn't mean that tomorrow or day after you will have your menopause. You still will have a long time to go. But change in the menstrual cycle pattern, especially when either the duration is becoming longer, or the bleeding is becoming lesser, or the number of days that you bleed is becoming lesser, are signs of coming towards your lower egg reserve. That means going closer to menopause.
Means so age पता करनी पड़ेगी right now. That is very
And
important.
also hormones, most common cause of menstrual irregularities is thyroid, prolactin, and sugars being crazy. Diet, sudden weight gain is again a very important
Right.
factor for menstrual cycles being erratic.
Next we have Irene, madam. Could you please explain blastocyst in simple terms? How much is stress related to the quality of egg and sperm? What are the precautions should we take to improve the quality of egg and sperm?
Thank you for the question. So blastocyst is basically a day 5 embryo. Once we make embryos, they are in the lab for 3 to 5 days. I personally prefer taking them to blastocyst, which is day 5, and that's the final stage of the embryo before it sticks in the uterus. So, if you've been able to make a blastocyst, that means that your embryo is doing well. Egg and sperm are behaving well with each other, and that's why you've been able to make a good blastocyst. Even in the uterus, even if we put a day 3 embryo, it will grow to a blastocyst in the body before it sticks to the uterus. So, blastocyst is the final stage of the embryo development before it sticks to the uterus and implants. And how much stress is related to the quality of egg and sperm, like I've been speaking, very, very, very big factor. Why stress is a big factor is because stress again messes up all the hormones which come from the anterior pituitary. If your body is not well oxygenated, if your body is not at peace within itself, if you're not sleeping well, the melatonin rhythm changes, the prolactin, thyroid, both for men and women, these
Right.
parameters are very, very important. And definitely, stress has to be brought down. Having said that, stress itself is a very loose term, right? I think even if you ask a newborn baby, a 1-year-old kid also nowadays, they are stressed out even before they can talk. So it's again how we deal with it. I can't say, and none of us can wish we have a stress-free life. It's just that the way we deal with stress has to be a more positive approach. Make a list of things that are bothering you. Make another flowchart around it saying how you can minimize those stress levels. Okay, how can you reduce this factor in your life? If work is stressful, how can I reduce my number of hours, or how can I work around my work in such a way that it doesn't impact my personal life? And
Right.
that's something that requires a very conscious effort, which is where I feel that yoga and meditation makes a lot of difference, because it connects you to yourself. When you are at peace within yourself, everything else is dealable, is manageable. So
Right.
go within yourself, sit quietly and talk to yourself, do the things that you love to do. you know I think COVID has really given us that blessing in disguise that none of us are running to work and coming. Well, most of us aren't. I have to, but most of us are sitting at home, except us doctors probably. So use this time very, very constructively. It's a blessing in disguise. And focus on your health, focus on your sleep, work when work hours are mandatory, and then give yourself the time for your exercise, for your extracurricular activities, to keep yourself happy, motivated, whether it's singing or dancing or drawing, or except watching TV all the time, because that again, too much radiation is bad for the human body. Another thing that I would like to tell here is that the lights that we are under all day, all long, mess up the pineal gland here, and that's why the circadian rhythm of lot of hormones gets changed. So try to get some natural light. If you can go for a walk, that's wonderful. Meditation is wonderful. Yes. Eat healthy, stay cool.
Stay healthy.
Yeah.
Next, we have, ma'am, can you please tell me the ideal value of LH, FSH, TSH, progesterone, and endometrial lining for successful IVF?
Thank you for this question. I will answer this question if you tell me what is the ideal body weight and ideal body figure for any girl. I don't believe in size zero. I think the way you are, you're beautiful. And the same goes for any and every IVF cycle. It has to be customized to the particular person at the particular time. Remember, these are hormones: FSH, LH, TSH, progesterone. They are all secreted from the same place in the brain as pulses. So these values change every minute. These values change in every phase of the cycle. So when you do a day two FSH, LH, your FSH is going to be higher, LH, E2 is going to be lower. As the cycle proceeds and the follicle grows, the estrogen levels begin to rise. Very close to ovulation, LH rises. After ovulation, progesterone rises. So these hormones are very cycle dependent and very specific to the specific days of the cycle. And depending on what drugs you've been giving, what treatment phase you are under. So this is a very generic question. My request to you would be, don't micromanage your cycle. Just believe it's going to happen. Stay positive, stay confident, and go for it. I
Right,
personally have seen, girls who come in just totally innocent. All right, doc, do what you want. I know I'm getting pregnant and going. Trust me, they will always work out with the baby. The more you stress, the more you try to micromanage. Because see, this is for the person who has studied it. I've spent 2 decades reading about it. For you to be able to understand, if I give you one value, you'll hold on to it, and that may not be
right,
right for you. So discuss with your doctor if the cycle is overall good or not. Ask for a summary. Lot of clinics I've seen are not giving summaries. Please ask for a detailed summary of what happened in your IVF cycle. And then that will give you answers as to what can be done better in the next cycle, God forbid, if it doesn't work. As far as the endometrium is concerned, like I said before, again, to each their own. It's not just the thickness of the endometrium, it is the blood flows, it is the type of lining, the grade of the endometrium lining, the presence of or absence of contractions in the endometrium, the blood flow, the Doppler flows
right.
in the uterine artery, whole lot of things that make the endometrium good. Uh, in general, thickness anywhere between 7 to 10 and 11 is good enough.
Right.
Again, it depends on
And
the
so,
state of embryo.
right.
Yeah,
And
sorry.
don't worry, hopefully, we'll be listening to your good news soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, next, my dog gave DHEA. Should I continue till pickup? How many months?
Well, yes. So again, this is a very generic question. I don't know how many months you've been taken DHEA. Why were you? I assume that probably you had low egg reserve and that's why you were given. I don't give DHEA to everybody. It depends on your age, your AFC. AFC is the follicle count, and your AMH. Uh, if your doctor is given, then definitely consult your doctor and continue till the pickup. Always remember, long term use of these medications does have side effects, though they are temporary. But DHEA, because it's a male hormone, you may feel some pimples or some hair growth coming. Don't panic. Once you stop it, it will go away. So my advice would be to add off L-leucine and coenzyme Q10 if you're not on it right now.
So, probably you should consult your doctor because we don't know for how many months you are taking this medication. So, next we have, can autoimmune diseases in male affect fertility?
Absolutely. So again, we just spoke about autoimmunity a couple of times before. So it's a generic problem. We are human beings. Remember, egg, sperm is not separate from our bodies. It's the holistic being that decides the outcome of every cell of the body. So if there is autoimmunity in a man, then that autoimmunity can act the same way that the autoimmunity acts in a woman. It can start killing the sperms. It can start reducing the sperm motility, sperm morphology, the quality, the number of sperms, and a lot of times the DNA fragmentation of the sperm also goes higher with it. So, yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Hello, ma'am. I'm 37-year-old trying to conceive last 6 years. I had laparoscopy in 2017. In surgery, my one blocked tube is open and other one is delayed. I had three failed IUI. Now what can I do?
6 years is a very long time. You're
Hmm.
37. You've already had IUIs. I think it's time to give you your babies. Jump into IVF. Why? Because one, you're only working with one
Right.
tube, which is also not working very well. So each
Hmm.
cycle you're wasting eggs. You're already 37. Just check your hormonal parameters, your egg reserve, and everything. IVF will do two things for you. One, it will negate the use of the tube because we are collecting eggs from both the ovaries. Right now, what's
Hmm.
happening is probably the one side where the tube is blocked. Each month, if that tube is not ovulating, that side is not ovulating, those eggs are going waste. So you can collect
Hmm.
eggs from both the ovaries, make more good number of embryos, and then start putting it. So instead of doing multiple failed IUIs, I would suggest probably jump into IVF and take your baby quickly.
How to treat adenomyosis in IVF?
Thank you. That's a very good question. Adenomyosis is again a very challenging situation for, I think all patients and even for doctors.
All.
For patients, because it causes very painful periods. And, I've literally seen women on the verge of committing suicides because the pain is so bad. For us doctors, it's challenging because the implantation with an adenomyosis in the uterus is quite lower than it would be in a normal uterus. Having said that, there are now very good strategies to handle adenomyosis as well. If the adenomyosis is in the early stages, then just some medical treatment, medical therapies will be beneficial. If the adenomyosis is localized, then now surgeries to pull out the adenomyoma through laparoscopy are giving wonderful results. We've actually had a uterus which was about 14 weeks in size, and after the adenomyomectomy, we've been able to bring down the uterus, control it, and then the patient has had a very healthy baby as well, and not a preterm delivery, which we were worried about. So depends on what stage of adenomyosis, what kind of adenomyosis it is. It definitely needs its specific attention. What I would suggest to my patients undergoing IVF is to first make the embryos, then downregulate, sort out the adenomyosis, and then go for
Right.
embryo transfer.
Then,
So that the broken, this is known as segmented IVF. That is something which will help someone who has adenomyosis for going for an
right.
IVF.
So you can consult your doctor. I think this is the most common thing in such cases that doctors follow.
Yeah.
So Jesleen is asking, where do you sit, ma'am? How can we contact you? Jesleen, please drop message over here and we'll help you contacting with the doctor.
You can
And
also
next,
visit my website, drarveen.com. And I am practicing in Lotus Diagnostic Center, Indranagar, Milan, and also Milan, Indranagar in Bangalore.
okay, there are two centers.
I am in two centers right now. Yeah.
So next we have, does too many stimulation cycles and the medicines which we give for egg growth are increasing the chances of ovarian cancer? How to prevent this?
Good question. I think this awareness should be out for everyone. IVF per se does not cause any cancer. The reason for borderline ovarian tumors in women is primarily because they have not been pregnant at all. So it's the fact that someone never got pregnant increases their risk of cancers as opposed to someone who had multiple attempts of pregnancy which were failed. So to clarify this, let's say there's a woman who's probably undergone 7 cycles of IVF and conceived at the end of the 8th cycle, maybe. she is at a lesser risk of having any ovarian tumor as compared to someone who's maybe had one cycle of IVF, has a family history of any kind of cancers anywhere in the family, maybe has PCO. Her risk, overall risk of ending up with a cancer, is much higher than someone who's had multiple cycles of IVF, even though she conceived at the end of the 10th cycle or 12th cycle, whatever. Remember, these hormones are very temporary acting, and that's why we have to give them on a daily basis for a very short duration of time. So none of these will have long-term side effects. Only thing is that, a lot of times young girls, what I've seen them do, especially girls with PCO, they keep taking these clomiphene citrates on their own. And I've actually had a patient who took the tablet, went somewhere, and for almost a year continued to take the tablets without
Hmm.
consulting any doctor, and at the end of 1 year, she came back to us. She was blind. So
Oh
it's
God.
not a joke. Please don't self treat yourself. Consult your fertility specialist, your gynecologist, because every medicine has a shelf life. Every medicine comes for a particular reason, for a particular duration of time. Under supervision, none of these treatments or none of these medications will have any adverse effect on any kind of health side effects, and definitely not cancers. Borderline
Not
cancers, like I
cancer.
said, is mainly because multiple cycles, not gotten pregnant, and history of cancers. This is where I
Okay.
say detox yourself, keep yourself healthy, so that whatever is being given is getting washed out. So the
Right. That
liver
is
health,
very
the
important.
kidney health is very important. Celery juice is very good. Any kind of detoxification is very good.
Next, again, we have a query from her. What all precautions should taken before next transfer? I have a history of one miscarriage and one failed blastocyst transfer. Does adenomyosis causes all these issues, or is there any other issues we look into? Please suggest.
I think it can't only be adenomyosis. Please get your autoimmune workup done. Check your thyroid levels. If you're undergoing a frozen embryo transfer, even with adenomyosis, again, it depends on how big it is. If it really needs to be resolved, then either with medication or with surgery, sort it out. Since you've already had a blastocyst made, that's again a good thing. What you
Hmm.
can't rule out, even if you've made blastocyst, is the genetics of the blastocyst. So, what I would suggest is while you work on the adenomyosis in the uterus, if you have any more embryos left, and if they can be sent for PGTA, that is the genetic screening, PGS, then I think you will know walking into your next TT that my embryo is strong, uterus is taken care of, mentally you're strong, take your baby home.
Right. So for I would suggest if you are undergoing simultaneously like one after one cycle, one after the other, then you should first detox your body, and that will be really helpful for you.
Absolutely.
Anonymous query. I am 32 years old. I have been trying since 2013. Was diagnosed with endometriosis in 2014 through laparoscopy. Had a failed IVF cycle in 2015. Again went through an excision surgery in 2017. I regret for not going in for IVF immediately after the surgery. Now in 2020 had two more failed IVF cycles. I have got two more embryos left. My doctor wants to put me on Upron and Dynogest for 3 months before next transfer. Now my major issue is that I have adenomyosis and stage 4 endometriosis.
I think you're very lucky that you have embryos with you. I don't know the stage of the embryos. Probably with a stage 4 endometriosis, the quality of the embryo again has to be ascertained. The fact that you've already been through two surgeries, I'm sure your egg reserve must have come down a little bit. But since you have embryos, that's fine. You can do what your doctor is suggesting in simple terms is down regulating you. You can probably do that. I don't know if you have what stage of adenomyosis you have. So, if your adenomyosis is quite big right now, since your embryos are frozen, endometriosis is not a major concern. Adenomyosis is. So, down regulating you with probably 2 shots of GnRH agonist, which is what your doctor is giving, is good. What you're doing is mixing injectables and tablets. Probably have a word with your fertility specialist again and see if they can stick with one protocol, which would be beneficial. Another medication which has now come, if you're trying to buy some time, is also letrozole. It's giving very good results for adenomyosis if you have pains. So you can do either 2-3 shots of GnRH agonist injections, or you can do Dynogest as well, or you can do the other drug. Right now, since you have embryos, the good thing is that you don't have to worry about endometriosis. Put them in a wonderful cycle. My request would be go in for a hysteroscopy if it's not been done recently, because sometimes that chronic endometritis and micropolyps can come in the way of your implantation and you don't want to take a chance. The
Right.
other thing that you must do is when you're going in for your frozen embryo transfer cycle, ask your doctor for Dopplers, for the Doppler changes of the endometrium, so that you know that it was a perfect cycle. Other holistic therapies again will help you tremendously. Diet is very, very important here because stage 4 endometriosis and adenomyosis are
Hmm.
often associated with a subtle autoimmune component. So,
Right.
gluten free and a whole lot of different endometriosis diet is again something which is different from a PCO diet or a poor responder diet. So, you should be on that particular diet before even you start, because literally these are your very precious babies.
Very
Put it in a
precious. Right.
perfect cycle. You're lucky you have embryos. Don't simply go ahead with an ET. Put them in a perfect cycle. Multiple protocols can be done. See how the uterus changes in the next 2 to 3 months of the treatment. So be under constant follow up and get your scans done and see how it's getting better. Hormonally, you will be down regulated, but the size of the uterus and the overall texture should be better. And I definitely think that if it is not a very severe adenomyosis, it should get better. If it's a localized adenomyosis and you've already had failures, then probably just removing the adenomyosis, not touching the endometriosis, is also an option for you laparoscopically.
Okay.
But I think you've already
Okay.
been through 2 surgeries. I wouldn't want to put her under
Right.
the knife
Again.
again. Try
Mm-hmm.
the medical therapies if you don't have very painful periods, and I think it should help you. Diet is very important. Here again, I would like to tell you detoxification works wonderfully in such cases. I have put my patients on detoxification for 2-3 months, whether it's panchkarma or whatever, and they've come back, pain being low, bleeding being better, and overall, the kind of endometrium that we get also gets better. Another thing here, because autoimmunity is also something which is very closely associated with stage 4 endometriosis and adenomyosis, is the electrocurrent therapy. That's again something which is not very commonly available in India. There's just one device right now called the Healy, uh, you know, which probably helps in controlling the energy of all your cells. So it gives you microcurrents in that particular time where you use it, and that helps in keeping you aligned. It's the same concept
Okay.
as doing yoga or anything else. So yeah, there are a lot of therapies that you can do even during your frozen embryo transfer cycle. But make sure that your uterus is perfect, your endometrium is perfect, and your state of
Right.
mind is perfect. Just tell yourself, I'm taking these babies home. That's it. Get
Right.
that confidence, and you'll take the baby home.
And please don't waste your frozen embryos. You have to take good care of yourself before going for FET.
Correct.
Next, we have this is an anonymous query from our chatbot. My age is 30. I have less bleeding, like 2 to 3 days. It means I have some issue. Did blood test and everything is okay. AMH is 2.1.
Why do you think 2 to 3 days is less bleeding, first of all? What is your parameter for that? So, like I said, normal is different for everyone. One size
Right.
does not fit all. If from the beginning, from your starting of periods, whether when you were 12, 13, 14, whenever you started, if from that time till now your bleeding has been just 2 to 3 days, then it's normal for you. If your bleeding has come down recently, let's say in the past 6 months or 1 year, then go back and look at the potential causes. Your AMH looks all right, but having
Hmm.
said that, there could be the quality which could be a problem. So if your FSH is also okay, the other factor could be history of infection, which is very common. So, if you've had any history of pelvic infections, white discharges, or pelvic inflammatory disease, even if it was subtle and you've not noticed, it might have left some damage in the uterus. Another very common cause for low bleeding, but that's usually a very long term history, is tuberculosis. In India, we
Hmm.
have a very high prevalence of genital tuberculosis, and most often than not, it goes unnoticed.
Right,
If
right.
you're having fertility issues and your bleeding has been like this from a long time, then please consult your gynecologist and ask them to look at for TB and for any other infection. That might also help you. But don't take any blind antibiotics.
Right, right. That is more important. So Srejana is saying thank you, ma'am. And Radhika here also saying thank you, Arvind, madam. Nice to see your smiling face. Real encouragement for us also.
Thank you so much.
We have one more query. Uh, that is anonymous query. Ask, I have endometriosis and I opted for IVF. I even completed my embryo transfer and I'm going through 2 week wait. I was on Lupron for 2 months before transfer for the inflammation to go down and then get the transfer done. I had no cramping or any problem before the transfer. But just after the transfer from second day, I started having bad cramping and I can still feel it. And today is my 9th day after transfer. Please guide me why I am having this cramping as I am really worried about it.
Well, thank you for the question and all the very best for your result. I hope you're pregnant. The fact that you've never had any cramping and post transfer you've had cramping, uh, what kind of issues are you having? Sometimes post embryo transfer, if you've held on to not passing urine for a long time, it can cause infection. So if you have any urinary complaints, tell your doctor, please get a urine culture done. Sometimes you've been given vaginal progesterone tablets, and they
Right.
again cause itching and cramping. They are very common causes for these kind of symptoms. Please tell your doctor because it's a very critical phase for you. Just cramping without any reason is not an option. Another very
Right.
common cause, which I find in most patients, is constipation. Because you've been downregulated, you must be giving very high dose of progesterones. So that most often than not causes constipations. Just take some simple laxative if you have constipation, and I think you'll be fine. So it's usually bloating, constipation, urine infection, or the local insertion of progesterone, which causes this kind of cramping. If you have any of these, please consult your doctor. If you don't have any of these as well, please consult your doctor because they'll see the prescription they've given you.
Right.
And maybe you may require tweaking in some medication. It could just be gastritis as well. But don't pop in Pantop just like that. Huh? Consult your doctor.
That is more important. Is Luprin bad for health? Does it have long-term side effects?
Very good question. I cannot. Okay, the previous person, please close your ears because she's just undergone embryo transfer, and I don't want her freaking out. Very long term usage of leuprolide, yes, it does cause bone density issues. That means it may lead to osteoporosis, but most doctors are very well aware of it, and therefore, when we give you leuprolide for a long term, we always add back therapy, which is in the form of either some hormones or calcium and vitamin D. And usually, if it's being given for adenomyosis or for endometriosis, we don't go beyond 3 months. So, not a major issue. But if you're a vegetarian and if your body is not in its, healthiest self, then definitely add back of calcium and vitamin D is very, very important with any GnRH agonist preparation.
Is wheat Grass juice good for detoxification.
Absolutely. Definitely. It's actually good
Yes,
for cholesterol. Uh, I
right.
suggest celery because it cleanses the liver very well and the kidneys. So all natural greens are very good for you.
Very good. Right.
Best is to consult an Ayurvedic or a dietitian consultant. See what your body's problems are. Always remember
Right.
what works for me may not work for you. So
Right.
consult
Right.
someone, understand what kind of body you have. Even in Ayurveda, the body types are different. Even in
Different.
our treatment in allopathy, we treat the body differently. PCO is different from endometriosis. So don't simply take whatever your friends are telling you. Consult the expert in that field, ask them for their advice, see what your body wants, because every body has different needs at different times.
Right.
So check with them and then take it.
And please don't Google everything.
Yes.
That is also very important.
That's why we are here. Please ask us all the questions you want.
Right. We are here for the past 1 hour. I think more than 1 hour we are here.
Wow,
So
that's
please
a
you
very
can
long
ask.
time.
Yeah. I know. So we'll take next query. AMH 11. Semen analysis normal. HSG tube test done. Normal periods regular. Age 32. Cause of not conceiving.
Okay, so
AMH.
your history is not matching up at all. If your AMH
Right.
is 11, either the lab was wrong or their cutoffs are different, because 11 means a very strong androgenic influence in terms of PCO. Though your cycles are regular, you could still be a regular cycle, ovulatory PCO probably. If AMH is very high, that is one of the common causes for the egg quality not being good. However, if everything else is normal, I would probably suggest repeat your hormones, AMH, thyroid, everything once again, and maybe go for timed intercourse. That means just go for ovulation induction studies and see if you're ovulating. If you're ovulating, time your intercourse around that time. I think that should help you.
Very good and clear explanation. Thanks a lot. And
Thank you.
seriously, thanks a lot, doctor. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure being here. I'm so happy to help. It's a wonderful forum you have. There people can actually come out with these doubts. And my heart goes out to the lady who's just had an embryo transfer and is worried with the cramping. Don't worry, you'll God willing get pregnant. Stay positive.
Right,
But my request is, any problems you have post embryo transfer, don't just sit at home. Tell your doctor because this is a very important time. So
right, right.
look after yourself well, and lot of times just diet modification post embryo transfer again sorts out lot of issues. Stay
Right,
positive, and everyone you can have your own baby, and you
right.
must.
And right. If any other query, please contact with us. Okay. Is milk not good for fertility?
Sorry.
Is milk not good for fertility? We have last query with us.
Very good question. Though I'm not a nutritional expert, but this has been a huge topic of debate all over, where people now say that because the
Right.
cows have been bred with all the, injections and everything, that's a problem. There is a debate between pasteurized milk and non-pasteurized milk. I would say to each their own. There is nothing in moderation which is bad for you per se. Our mindset is such, especially for vegetarians, because even if I tell you don't have milk, you will, otherwise your mom or your mother-in-law, someone will scold you. So everything in moderation is okay. I personally feel the closer you are to nature, the more you are closer to
Good.
yourself. So, healthy organic is the way forward. In moderation, yes. Milk, lot of us have lactose intolerance and gluten sensitivity. So, my milk digestion is a problem. And again, it causes sensitivity issues. In such cases, probably fermented products like curds, buttermilk are better options than milk.
Then milk. Right.
So, yeah, to each their own. Don't do too much milk as well, whatever you are happy with. If you're having lactose intolerance or any autoimmune issues, better stay away from it.
Right. And if you have any other query, please contact us. You must be having our number in the chat bot, and plus you can mail us on our website. So thank you, doctor. Thank you so much. Like almost 1.5 hour.
My God, time flies. Oh, wow. We
Seriously.
started with what, saying 40 minutes probably.
I know. I was also considering this 40 or 45 minutes,
I
but
know. Thank you
we
so
have
much,
to
everyone,
solve.
for yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out and clarifying your doubts. I hope I was able to go, clarify them. If there's still any more questions, please connect with Purnima, and I'll be happy to answer any more queries as well.
Right.
Stay
I'll
safe,
just
stay healthy.
direct. Yes. And please connect with us. I'll let you know when you can connect with Dr. Vora. And as we say, stay positive, stay healthy, because कुछ भी है सिर्फ यहाँ पे है. सोचे अच्छा और जरूर होगा. And we believe in this. So thank you
Absolutely.
so much. Thank you, doctor,
Ellarge
for joining
Namaskara.
us.
Ellarge, thank you. That's to my South Indian buddies. And to everyone in North India, thank you. Namaste. Have a good evening. Cut down on the samosa and chai and start eating healthy. Remember, you are what you eat. So
Right.
stay happy, stay positive. There is nothing that you want that the universe is not going to give you. You just have to try hard, seek help when it's important. Because sitting at
Right.
home and just blindly wishing for some miracle to happen because you're praying to someone is not
नहीं
going to
हो. And self medication. Please don't do this.
Please
Please
don't.
don't do
Please
this.
don't do that. Reach out for help. That's what this platform is all about as well. To create that awareness, you should know where you draw the line of being your Google expert and actually consult the experts in their respective fields. And like I
Right.
said, with the right treatment, I don't think there is anyone who will not get pregnant if they really want to. So, all the
Right.
best to everyone and God bless. And thank you so much, Purnima, for your
Thank you.
patience. And this is a
Thank
wonderful
you, Dr. Vora.
platform.
Thank you
Thank
so much. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye bye.
All right, bye. Take care. Stay safe.